Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here. Today, I'm joined by DEC Commissioner Cinzagalli and Lynn from Watersheds United Vermont, who have been working to organize debris removal from our waterways across the state. Most of the time, when we hear about cleanup along roads and streams, we typically think about spring and our traditional green up day as we get ready for the summer months. But it's just as important to clean up in the fall, especially as we head into foliage. With water levels relatively low right now, it's exposed debris left over from the 23 and 24 floods, which is a reminder that while we've made a lot of progress, recovery efforts to clean up from these events is ongoing and more help is needed. Cleaning up, whether it's in the spring or fall, isn't just about making things look nicer. It's also about protecting our most valuable resources, like our waterways, because keeping them clean is critical, and Vermonters have access to safe and clean water. Whether it's taking a walk and picking up trash along the way, or participating in an organized cleanup event, there are opportunities all around us to get involved and make a difference. Planning these events has been a team effort from Watershed United Vermont, Green Up Vermont, as well as local volunteer groups who have helped get the word out about events across the state throughout September. So as we approach fall foliage, which brings thousands of visitors to the state, I encourage Vermonters to pitch in, find a way to get involved, and leave our communities in better shape than we found them. With that, I'll turn it over to our Commissioner, Misty. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Governor. My name is Misty Cinzagalli, and I started in the role of Commissioner about a month ago for the Department of Environmental Conservation. Standing here, this is my first press conference, and thinking about it, I liken it to my first experience with my children on a canoe. So, right, there's a moment of hesitation, a wobbly uncertainty, and a deep sense of responsibility to make sure that the trip goes well. While I say the first, I should say that that's every experience with my children in a canoe. Vermont has over 20,000 miles of rivers and streams. They are not merely scenic backdrops. They are the arteries that connect our communities, sustain our wildlife, and provide significant recreational opportunities, from paddling to fishing to cooling off in a local swimming hole on a hot summer day. Just yesterday, I spent a few hours on the Black River, upstream of where it flows into the South Bay of Lake Memphremagog in Newport. It was beautiful. As I paddled with colleagues and DEC partners, they repeatedly pointed out tangible signs of progress. Things like stream banks that have been planted with trees and shrubs, farmers that have adopted new conservation practices, and fewer tires and other trash that needs to be pulled from the water. We are seeing a profound shift, a greater collective care of our rivers. That progress hasn't happened by accident. It is the direct result of the critical work state agencies, including my team at the Department of Environmental Conservation, municipalities, watershed groups, and individual Vermonters, and their work every single day. It's the citizen scientist who monitors our rivers to ensure they are safe for swimming. It's the local road foreman replacing an undersized culvert to give a small stream more room and reduce the potential for flooding. And it's the partners in regional planning commissions, conservation districts, and watershed groups like Lynn's that are working with my team at DEC to remove defunct dams, restore floodplains, and protect habitats. Put another way, stewardship is our shared responsibility as Vermonters. September is River Cleanup Month, and it represents a perfect opportunity for us all to take part. This is more than just picking up litter. It is a civic act. It is a commitment to the health of our communities and our waterways. Local organizations across the state are hosting cleanup events over the next several weeks, which Lynn is going to talk more about. And I encourage every Vermonter to find one and participate. River cleanups are an impactful and fun way to work together to ensure that the progress we see on Vermont's rivers and streams, like I saw on the Black River yesterday, continues and accelerates. I'm looking forward to joining the Friends of Winooski River this Saturday as they work several stretches of the river in and around Montpelier. Thank you. I'm now going to turn it over to Lynn Muno, Director of Watersheds United Vermont.
Thank you, Governor Scott and Commissioner Sensigali. My name is Lynn Munno, and I'm the Director of Watersheds United Vermont, or WUV as we call ourselves. WUV is an association of community-based watershed groups throughout Vermont who are working to protect and restore Vermont's waters for clean water and healthy and resilient watersheds. Watershed groups monitor water quality, plant riparian buffers, remove deadbeat dams, restore wetlands and floodplains, and host education and engagement events to connect kids and our communities to our waters. And in September, during River Cleanup Month, many watershed groups and partners host river cleanups. As Governor Scott mentioned, Vermonters and people visiting Vermont value the beauty of Vermont's rivers, streams, lakes, and ponds. Not only is trash in our waters aesthetically unappealing, trash creates safety hazards for people recreating, can leach contaminants, and can impact fish, turtles, and other aquatic animals. The goal is to keep trash out of our rivers in the first place, but trash accumulates over the year, especially with the flooding, as Governor Scott mentioned. Why September? Well, during Green Up Day in May, it is a great time to clean up our roadways and our parks, but our rivers are too cold and too high to safely clean up, and our riverbank vegetation is fragile at that time of year. In September, our waters tend to be low, this year very low, and warmer, and it is a great time to get out to the rivers and pull the trash out. Last year, watershed groups organized more than 500 volunteers across Vermont who helped clean up roughly 140 sites, pulling out more than 20,000 pounds of trash from Vermont's rivers. Watershed groups are now kicking off River Cleanup Month. There are several cleanups coming up this weekend that are looking for more volunteers. This Saturday, for instance, there is one here in Montpelier, as was mentioned, with Friends of the Winooski River, one in Springfield with the Black River Action Team, one in Montgomery with the Missisquoi River Basin Association, and there are cleanups on the White River with the White River Partnership on Sunday. Make sure to check in on weather delays since it looks like we might finally actually get some rain on Saturday. Several other groups are then hosting cleanups the following weekend, the weekend of the 13th, including in Barrie with the Barrie River Task Force, and in St. Albans with the Friends of Northern Lake Champlain. The Connecticut River Conservancy's Source to Sea program organizes a massive cleanup effort throughout the Connecticut River watershed during the month of September, and it culminates in their big cleanup weekend on September 26th and 27th. WUV has listed watershed groups' cleanup links on our website, watershedsunitedvt.org, or if you know your local watershed organization, you can check out their website or their social media directly to see if there is a cleanup in your area. River cleanups are a remarkably fun way to volunteer, to get a little wet and a little dirty and see what and how much trash we can pull out of the river. Many volunteers, including my own family, have enjoyed returning year after year to help out. And even if you can't get out directly, it's a good time to appreciate our rivers and try to keep them as clean and trash-free as possible. Thank you. I will turn it back to the governor.
Thank you, Lynn. We'll now open up to questions.
We can keep it on topic first.
Will we be getting a press release on this? Oh, good.
You mentioned there's been a number of expeditions or groups that have gone out and done these cleanups already. I mean, what are some of the things you've heard? Like, have there been any unique or like weird things that people have pulled from the river? I mean, I look at Montpelier on the Winooski, I see like shopping carts and things like that, but just like, what are some of the more unique things that you've found?
What are you looking for?
Just a question with volunteers, like sort of what are people finding?
WCXPM.
The answer is yes, there's always really interesting and unique items that are found in the river. I mean, there's the standard, like tires, lots of them. And then there's the unique items that can be make it a little bit fun and interesting as people are doing cleanups. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Taylor Litwin from Friends of the Winooski, who might just mention a few of the items that they have found in river cleanups.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We can't wait.
Hi, I'm Taylor Litwin with Friends of the Winooski River. Last year we had some crazy things turn up. Someone must have lost like a whole rack of produce. There was like oranges, grapefruits, teddy bears, dolls, that was kind of sad, bikes, appliances, like microwaves. We pulled a fridge. So things from really huge to really small. We got an email from someone saying that back in the day when they were a kid, they used to come out and there were porcelain dolls that were showing up in the river that were from some factory. And then they're still cycling around. So some things are just kind of in orbit and they keep showing up and you never know what you're going to find. So we do have a prize for the weirdest, grossest item. So you can look forward to that. And yeah, that's this Saturday, meeting at City Hall at 8:30 a.m.
City Hall.
Montpelier, yeah. Thanks.
Why is it that rivers become such fertile repositories for so much trash?
I would say, I mean, I've noticed a difference over the years, and maybe I'll let the experts talk about this, but actually a decrease in the amount of different items you see there, but particularly with the flash flooding that we've had over the last couple of years. And I would say some of what we're still finding may be attributed to Irene back in 11. I think the water is so low now that it's exposing a lot more. So it is a good time to get in there and get some of that out. But, tires typically float. Some people put them along the back of their garages or in their yards along the riverbank, and then they just naturally just fall in and get swept away and downstream. So I hope that the more we draw attention to this, the more people will pay attention and not put things at risk in their yards and along the riverbanks. And I think we are making progress, but maybe the two of you could add more to that.
Yeah, I would agree with what Governor Scott was saying, and I think it's really maybe kind of two categories. Like one is, unfortunately, this sort of like intentional dumping of trash into the rivers, and I think that you're right that has really decreased over time as awareness has grown. And then some of it is that like inadvertent things get washed into the river during high waters, and that's really making sure that we can be as careful as we can in securing trash items, especially when we know the water is going to be high. And it is really interesting. I'm sure we've all noticed how low the water is now, and it is probably exposing trash that's actually quite old that we just haven't seen exposed in a long time.
I'm wondering, with the items that you guys are finding, with a lot of that being from the flood damage, I mean, are there any items of value that could be reconnected with families again, or something like that?
Again, a couple of things with that. I just want to acknowledge how far things can travel. I know up in Lindenville, when I went up the Brook Road after the last year's flooding, and there was a culvert, a large culvert that was down towards the main route that had gone a mile and floated downstream. We saw, the things we're finding even along the Montpelier area, Middlesex, and so forth. I think you could trace back to Plainfield. I mean, look at the amount of propane tanks we saw floating down the river. Again, all the debris from the home that got washed in, the house in Plainfield. So it's. I think that's why we see such a variety of things in the river, because it just comes from long distances away. But again, I will let you answer the question.
We did get an email about an engagement ring that's in the
Oh,
river.
well, come on up.
Yeah, that's fresh on my mind.
One other thing, we have our Wheels for Warmth, in the end of October. And last year, someone from Barrie had come along and wanted to know, he was looking for a Volkswagen rim and tire, and I thought, well, you know, that's pretty specific. And he lived on Vine Street, and it was an old VW he had, and he was looking for that. It was a restored Volkswagen, and he was looking for that specific rim that floated away from his home. We didn't find it, but there's still time. And you never know, but that would be a great find for somebody.
We did get an email that someone is searching for their engagement ring that is somewhere in the North Branch of the Winooski, so that's something we'll be keeping an eye out for this Saturday. And last year on Great Brook in Plainfield, someone had lost a statue that meant a lot to them that was on their porch and got washed miles downstream, and someone had found it and brought it back to them. So that was kind of a heroic story. And yeah, things get washed miles and miles away. So no matter where you are for a cleanup, if you find something of value, I recommend maybe looking to see if there's a Facebook group. I know there was one at one point in Montpelier to reunite people with the things they lost in the flood. Or you could reach out to a watershed group like Friends of the Winooski, and we can try to help reunite people with their belongings. Thanks.
This is not a feel-good question, but I know there was a suspected jumper on the Dog Brook whose body has not been found yet. Have you ever come across a dead body in any of this?
I'm not aware of anyone finding anything like that, but
No?
Governor, also on the low water, I mean, are we seeing other impacts? I'm thinking on hydroelectricity, agriculture. I mean, what other ways, or maybe I'm just thinking hydro, for instance, are we seeing an impact there on?
yeah, I'm sure there will be because we just don't have the capacity. We can see it in real time driving through Montpelier and up through to Plainfield. And even I was going up through Worcester the other day and noticing how low the brooks and rivers are. So it's going to have a bit of an impact, but help seems to be on the way. You know, an inch or two of rain every now and then. It wasn't that long ago that I remember all of us talking about, I saw it on the news almost every day, about the number of weekends that we had gone without a break. So I bet that was like a month and a half ago. There was a stretch from November, December last year where every single weekend it rained. So we're getting this dry period now, and look forward to the fall, maybe marginally along the way. I mean, again, last year and the year before, we were praying for sunshine and no more rain. And now we just need a little bit of the rain to get things going again. Secretary Moore.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. I just wanted to share that ANR has convened the State Drought Task Force at this point. They've met twice and are carefully monitoring the situation. On average, statewide, we're about 7 inches behind in terms of the rainfall we would have expected to receive to date. So it's quite a significant deficit. For perspective, Vermont averages anywhere from 35 to about 45 inches of rain a year, depending on where you are in the state. So we're as much as 20% behind. And we know that this is starting to be felt, particularly by folks who draw their water from shallow wells and seeing reduced capacity. So it's something that bears monitoring. In addition, wildland fire risk is pretty high right now statewide. And again, burn bans have been put in place by many local fire wardens. This is an area of active focus for the agency as well. We've responded to more than 4 dozen small forest or wildland fires so far this year, but anticipate that risk will remain high while that deficit in total rainfall exists.
Burn dam? What is a burn dam?
So if an individual is interested in burning particularly leaf and woody debris, natural leaf and woody debris, not any construction-related materials, they should be asking their local fire ward. fire warden, for a burn permit. And currently, most fire wardens are not issuing burn permits over risk of those fires escaping. The vast majority of the wildland fires we see in Vermont are as a result of human activity, as opposed to something that may have been started by lightning or another natural cause.
Okay, thank you.
Governor, should the state of Vermont take ownership of the Green River Dam?
Well, I'm sure Secretary Moore could answer that as well, but we received obviously, you've all reported on it, received the investigation of the research on the dam itself. Seems to be in good shape. But I think there's an opportunity. I would like to see all the groups get together, find a solution here that works for everyone, and I think that's within reach. I just think that we all need to give a little bit in order for that to happen. It has to be profitable. Morrisville Water and Light, I understand the dilemma they're in. They've invested heavily in the dam, and it would cost a lot to decommission the dam. We obviously enjoy Green River Reservoir from a camping aspect and just the use of the water. When I was a kid, I used to go fishing up there with my aunt and uncle who lived up in that area. So it's something that we enjoy there too. And there's a reason that we want to limit. I mean, there's got to be the water flow through the river has to maintain consistency for wildlife and so forth. So again, everyone needs to come together, I think, and figure out a path forward. But as far as us purchasing that, I don't know where the resources would come from. It would be expensive, and then we would be on the hook for decommissioning in the future. And I don't think we'd run it as a generating facility. So again, I look forward to more conversations in the future on how we work our way out of this together. Secretary Moore?
Yeah, not much to add there, Governor. I do think we were pleasantly surprised by the condition assessment of the dam and dike at Green River, and to find that they are in really good condition, especially in light of their age. I think it bears mentioning that the Agency of Natural Resources already has responsibility for about 100 dams statewide, the 3 major flood control facilities on the Winooski River at Waterbury, Wrightsville, and Eastbury, but in addition, a number of other smaller dams, many of which also support important recreational assets. And so really trying to make sure we're not biting off more than what we can proverbially chew if we were to take on the Green River Dam, which would become the second most complicated facility in our portfolio, only to the Waterbury Reservoir Dam. And we wouldn't enjoy the support of the Army Corps that we have in Waterbury in maintaining that facility. So there are some near-term needs in the next 3 to 5 years that the report identifies, as well as an ongoing annual operation and maintenance cost and the staff that would be required to support this work. So it's not something to be entered into lightly, and the report intentionally did not take a position on the right solution, but rather really presents the facts on the condition of the dam, the costs associated with its operation, and then also the economic benefit that the local communities around the Green River State Park enjoy as a result of visitors to that park spending on their way in and way out of the park.
Just to clarify, Governor, are you saying that the state ownership of the dam is off the table, or can you help me clarify who should be owning and operating this?
Morrisville Water and Light owns and operates. It's theirs. So at this point in time, I just don't see a path forward for us to purchase the dam because we wouldn't be running it as a generating facility. That's somewhat out of our bailiwick. So again, I think that we need to work with all the parties involved in order to see if they can find a solution that suits everyone. If everyone gives a little bit, I think we could get it done, but time will tell.
We can switch to off-topic questions.
Governor, the Compass Vermont reported that the U.S. Forest Service has approved the Velo Mont Bike Trail. What does this mean for Vermont to have a north-south bike trail? And I know you were just did the Honor the Fallen bike ride. Are you planning a trip?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's exciting to hear another trail being established here in Vermont. We're known for our mountain biking, our rail trails, and road cycling, and so forth. And some of the slopes have used the downhill biking as a way to stay profitable in the summer. So this just adds to that. I think again, establishing a route from north to south, I think, is really, really exciting. We're known for our mountain biking, and I think this just enhances it.
Governor, it's my understanding that Canadian officials are expected to be in Vermont at some point. Do we have any update on when Canadian officials will come to the state?
I am not aware of them coming at this point in time, but maybe Secretary Curley can fill me in on that. I know I am going. I'm going to New Brunswick at some point to meet with the premiers in the next couple of months.
Yes, sorry, I was struggling with getting off mute. Governor, right now, we're aiming for September 18th. We're working on trying to get a group to come to Lake Memphremagog and do a boat ride so that we can spend some time with our friends to the north. And the details are all still being worked out, but we're excited to do that. And as the governor mentioned, he also will plan to spend some time in Canada. So we'll be happy to share the details as they're available.
All right, we'll move to the phones. Tim, Vermont Biz.
Hi, Governor. I have two questions. One, is there any chance, now that the dam and dike at the Green River Reservoir are in pretty good shape, that the state would go along with removing the dam and thus lowering the water level there?
Again, I think that's, going further than we need to go at this point. I think it's still, the dam's in great shape. It would be very costly to reduce and probably impact the integrity of the dam itself by doing so. I think that would be very difficult. So I again would like to at least consider working together with other interested parties in finding a solution to leave the dam where it is, continue to generate power, so that everyone gets something out of this.
Does it come to a point where there has to be an economic decision made on that? Obviously, Morrisville Water and Light can't go on forever under the current circumstances, either financially or legally. Is there any sort of deadline on when that decision would have to be made, one way or the other?
I'm not aware that there's a date at this point, but maybe Secretary Moore knows more about it.
Sure, just a couple of pieces. One is if you look at the alternatives that were contemplated in the dam and dike study, removal of the dam is by far the most costly, particularly in, I would say, the near to medium term, maybe the next 10 years, with removal costing more than twice as much as the next alternative, whether that involves decommissioning the hydropower facility or continuing to operate it. The condition of the dam will continue to require investment, and I think that's where the challenge comes in that the governor's alluded to about the economics of operation. Morrisville's willingness to continue to make investments in the structural integrity of that facility over time will be reduced as a result of the changes in its hydropower generation capacity, and that's something we're going to need to work through. I think what's important for everyone to know, though, is this is a long-term process. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, remains involved, and will be. It's not as simple as Morrisville being able to walk away from that facility. And even if it does cease generating power, it will continue to be managed under our dam safety regulations to ensure its long-term structural integrity. So this is just one more step in what has been a long and an ongoing conversation about the Green River facility, and grateful to have this kind of information about the condition of the dam and dike.
Separate from that, I know the state is very happy to get the electronic vehicle funding from the federal government released, and maybe Secretary Flynn can answer this. I was on the Northway on I-87 last weekend, and they have EV charging stations on their welcome centers, but I understand Vermont cannot put them on our welcome centers. I was wondering what the difference is there.
I think Secretary Flynn can answer this, again, clean up anything I might say about it, but we took advantage of federal dollars when we built the interstate. In the Northway, they use private money, bonding and so forth, and use tolls to pay for that. So we took a different route, so we're not allowed by federal law to sell anything in our rest areas. And when you build it yourself, whether you're down in New Hampshire or in New York, where they built sections on their own, they're able to do that. Secretary Flynn?
You nailed it, Governor. It would basically require an act of Congress based on how we paid for it, as the Governor said.
Okay, great. Thanks, Secretary Flynn. Thank you, Governor.
Tom Davis, Compass Vermont.
Thank you. Following up on that EV money that just came through, Governor, after that was restored through legal work, did this come in faster than you expected it to resume your work on these charging stations?
I think Secretary Flynn can answer that as well. I just want to say, I don't think there was anything they did legally. It wasn't a question of the legality of what they did. They had pushed pause on the program. And while they looked into it and wanted to maybe put some parameters on it, and so they came to the conclusion they were going to move forward with it. I think we received like $15.3 million at that point. And there's other aspects of this, the Buy American clause. I think there was, the Congress had said, or maybe it was by rule, that we could bypass that in the first round. And we hope to take advantage of that because there isn't the charging devices made in the states that we could be utilizing at this point. So it's important for us to move as quickly as possible and try and get under, I think we have until the next fiscal year maybe to get under the wire with the Buy American clause until there's manufacturers that actually do this in the states that could fill the gap. Secretary Flynn?
Thank you, Governor. As per your question, Tim, it was paused in February, and I suppose the answer would be, had it not have been paused, there wouldn't have been the need to wait. And then the question of, did it come in sooner than we thought? I'll say this, I think if you look at the entirety of many of the actions that the current administration in Washington has taken regarding prior pieces of funding legislation, the timeline on the release of the netting money internally really followed what we were being told by US DOT. So, independent of what any of us might have wished it had been, they kept communicating with us, and they kept saying that, in fact, about a month prior to the news that we've received, Secretary Duffy had stated and communicated to the DOTs that he had completed his review and that it was going to go to the General Services, or the Office of Management and Budget, which is the process in any administration. And then they released it for public comment. So, it followed a stream of communication that we thought was predictable, and we're grateful for the outcome. And that's, we move forward. We, as the press release stated, we're targeting 11 sites around the state of Vermont. It's also important to note that a site could have multiple ports. So think of a port as a plugin. So there could be 40 or 50 or 55 actual plugins if you roll that up from 11 different locations. Bradford, for example, that we built in the fall of '94 is a site that I believe has 6 plugins. So it's one site, but it has 6 vehicles that could be charged at one time.
Thank you. Another topic, Governor, the last press conference you said after the vote of the city council in Burlington that you're meeting with some stakeholders up there, including business owners up there. I'm wondering, have you had those meetings yet?
I've had some meetings at this point and having another one scheduled for this week. So no conclusion at this point.
Nothing to report on those meetings so far?
No, I'm learning different aspects, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward. And again, the offer still stands. We want to be a partner and work together with the city of Burlington if we can.
Great. Last question, how are your legs?
Oh, they're fine. Yeah, it was a great day yesterday. I think we did the 48 miles in about 4 hours. So it wasn't. It was a quick ride, but it was beautiful weather, and the trails were excellent.
Very good. No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ethan, Vermont Digger.
Governor, there's a impressive slate of GOP leaders meeting in Ludlow tonight. You're not on the agenda, but might you be making an appearance? And if not, why not?
It wasn't on my schedule. I do have another scheduled event in Morrisville tonight, so if it came to our attention, I was pre-scheduled to go someplace else.
Understood. And as you have rolled out this return to office plan, bringing state employees back 3 days a week, are there certain data points or metrics that you and your team identified as sort of why this needs to happen?
Well, again, from my standpoint, I think about everything we went through during the pandemic. Take, for instance, in our schools. We learned a lot during that time. We should have brought our kids back sooner so they could be together, so they could learn together, so there could be some relationship building and so forth, and learning as well. I think the same here. I think it's something we needed to do. We moved forward with that. We may have let it go on a little too long, but I think people need to be back together. I think from just a mentorship to learning, we have city employees retiring every day due to our demographics, and the new crop of employees coming in need to learn from someone. So there's nothing better than being together to learn. You learn so many things about them personally, but also to do the job that they're hired to do. So we were, pre-pandemic, we were 5 days a week. I think 3 days a week makes sense as to where we are today. But I will let our Secretary of Administration talk more about that.
Thank you, Governor. As we talked about last week, our decision to have our employees come back in person 3 days a week is really based on, as the governor indicated, fostering the culture of state government for the future. It's about mentoring, it's about collaboration, it's about what we want to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and how we want to interact with each other and also with the Vermonters that we serve. We believe that it is really critical to our workforce to come back together more frequently now.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Governor.
All right, we'll go back to the room.
Is there a concern that there might be turnover, people might leave these jobs? I'm thinking if you live in the other part of the state, or if you might even live out of state. We're hearing a lot of state employees actually live out of state.
Yeah, again, we have a group that we put together to better understand some of those issues so that there may be solutions that we could provide. Let the Secretary handle that one too.
And then I'll preface this by reiterating our commitment to communicate to our workforce before we communicate to the media, and really trying to be consistent with that. I communicated across state government last Thursday that laid out these big picture parameters, including the process, the advisory group that is being convened by the Chief Recovery Officer, Douglas Farnham. I will share that group has started meeting. We are working to prioritize based on feedback that we've received and continue to receive from our employees, and we're working to address, to the extent that we are able, some of those concerns.
And Secretary, do we know when people should start coming back? I haven't seen this communication, but do you know when?
Sure, and I'm happy to share that with all of you to make sure that you have it, but we are asking for December 1st is what we have indicated, which is about 3 months' time.
Sorry, Governor, just to get back to Tom's question for a second. Have you talked with Burlington's mayor? And just, you have not. Okay. And just to clarify, was there ever a official offer, like in paper, like, Mayor, we will help you, we will send in state police, or just
no?
What was the official?
Again, there was no official ask either. There was nothing requested in writing from us other than this was back about last year, when asking for us to reconsider the hotel motel program and reinstituting that. But other than that, there hasn't been any requests from the city of Burlington.
Also on the topic of Burlington, does the state have any plans for the John Z. Zamperi building? Excuse me. Does the state have any plans for that building at all?
It's sold.
Oh, it's sold.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know where we're at with that, but it has been sold.
Yeah, it's I can follow up, but it is under contract. But I can follow up with the specific details of closing date.
To who? Happen at this point in time. So for security reasons, there may be lights on. Obviously monitoring the building.
But my question is, who provides electricity to that building?
Burlington Electric.
Okay. Thank you.
But we buy it from them.
State base.
Oh, okay. State base. Thank you.
Governor, what will you be looking for over the next few months, this audit potentially of Burlington Electric? Big municipal utility here. Commissioner Johnson has outlined his concerns with it. What do you need to see to have confidence in that Burlington Electric?
Yeah, again, our job is to protect the ratepayer. We want to make sure that they're working as efficiently as possible, and we see a few shortcomings, but happy to work with them to work their way through it and provide for electricity at a cost they can afford, and providing for their ratepayers. I may ask the commissioner to weigh in as well.
No, Governor, I think you got it right. The whole purpose of this undertaking was what is in the best interest of Burlington's electric ratepayers and the rest of the state. That's the entire purpose.
And I'm wondering, for those who may have, suffered from one of these errors, do we know if Burlington Electric intends to reimburse any ratepayer or anything like that? That might be more of a question for them, but do we know?
If you'd like me to respond.
Yeah, why don't you?
Okay. Certainly BET has it within its power to propose that type of reimbursement. I'm not sure that that's a likely scenario. We'll see. I think more importantly will be how can they, and we've gone to great lengths, I first would say, we've gone to great lengths to point out the areas where they perform quite well. And I think the Burlington Electric Department's ratepayers should be assured there's good, reliable service, and there's a lot that the management team does right. In terms of cost and reimbursement, I think it's more important going forward to ensure that there aren't mistakes, there aren't the kind of pattern of errors that we've seen before, and we eliminate those root causes. That, in essence, will preclude the imposition of existing costs. If you saw the remedy we're proposing, the corrective action, I think it's directly commensurate to the type of offenses and what we saw. So separating from one incident, we haven't seen the issues, the deficiency of such a magnitude that we would have proposed an immediate rebate for customers. So hopefully we can get this resolved in 6 months and they can restore their performance on par in these particular areas we identified, similar to where there are other areas of performance.
All right.
Last question. Do you plan on buying a Powerball ticket?
No, I probably won't, but I probably should. Because you never know. 1 out of 252 million, you never know.
What's the latest of just how many sales, like what people are saying, what this means for liquor and lottery, like?
Commissioner Knight.
Thank you, Governor. Calvin, I was hoping my presence would spawn your question. So Saturday's jackpot is estimated at $1.7 billion. The cash equivalent for that is $770 million. So if a Vermonter, for example, were to win and were to claim it as a lump sum, the state would automatically have a 6% withholding from that. So we're really hoping a Vermonter wins the Powerball this Saturday, because that would translate to $46 million windfall to the state, which I know would make Commissioner Scholdice and Commissioner Gresham very pleased. So ticket sales, to give you an example, we have seen since yesterday compared to last Wednesday, a 190% increase in ticket sales. So even if a Vermonter doesn't win Saturday's jackpot, the state is winning in a way, because those increased ticket sales means more money that the department and that the lottery fund contributes to the education fund.
That was the other question. This goes to the Ed Fund, not to like after school programs, but this is Ed Fund proper.
So the windfall that the state gets, so if there is a Vermonter that wins at $770 million, that 6% that's taken directly from that goes to the general fund, not the Ed Fund. So the ticket sales, the increased ticket sales, amounts to more money that the Department of Liquor and Lottery collects, and that goes through the Lottery Commission Fund, and that goes to the Ed Fund.
And what was the total amount spent on tickets for the most recent drawing?
So this Wednesday, Powerball ticket sales were $656,000. Compared to last Wednesday, where it was $226,000. So that's the 109, almost double, right? And so that is extra money. And because there's no associated increase in cost, that means it's just extra money that goes to the Ed Fund.
And, different from the lottery, I also want to talk about like draft sports, because that's really gained a lot of popularity in Vermont. I wanted to ask.
Sports betting?
Yeah, sports betting.
I really am regretting coming up here at this point. No, I'm happy to talk about sports wagering.
Yeah, are you seeing any specific trends with that, or what it can mean for the future in Vermont or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done a really good job of sports wagering, legalizing it in Vermont. I mean, obviously we're looking to capture revenue that was going to other states that had legalized it, or to offshore illegal gambling, right? So one of the motivations for legalizing online sports wagering was to capture that revenue for the state, and we've done a good job of capturing that. Our first 6 months was $3.5 million. This past fiscal, it was $6.1 million. So it's not intended to be a massive amount of money. I think the driving force of illegalizing online sports wagering is to really protect it, make it more protective for the players and more of a healthier environment. Because what you have with regulating it is you have the responsible gaming and the problem gambling resources. I will say that September is Responsible Gaming Education Month, so thanks for the opportunity to talk about our responsible gaming initiative. And so the money that the Department of Liquor and Lottery collects from the operators, we have a relationship with the Department of Mental Health, and they do our responsible gaming program for the players.
Thank you all.
Everyone go back to the other.